Good evening. Thank you for joining us for the third in a series of town halls for Republican Party primaries here in Pickens County this year. Tonight, we're doing the County Council District 3 seat, which is in Pickens. And we'll begin tonight as we always do with a prayer. If you'd bow your heads with me. Dear Lord, we pray that you would bless us here and all those participating tonight, both here in the building and at home. And we would pray that you bless our country to both be healed financially and physically, our health as a nation. And Lord, as I said before earlier tonight, I don't know your plan, but I do know you have a better one than I do. So I pray that your plan will be at work here tonight in this room with us, and will be used to, in your plan for the betterment of our country and our community. In Christ's name and for his sake we pray. Amen. If you gentlemen will join me, we'll say the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have three of our candidates here with us tonight, Tim Robinson, Wes Hendricks, and Alex Seda. Debbie Gravely is also a candidate for this seat. She was invited to come tonight but was unable to attend. We're sorry that Debbie wasn't able to be here. But we'll carry on from there, though. Thank you guys for coming and participating tonight. And so the people at home will know what's going on. The rules are 1 minute opening and closing statements, 1 minute and a half to answer each question. And the questions, all but a couple, were submitted by people that live in Pickens County and will be affected by what you do on county council if you are elected. There will be a couple of questions from the county party or from me. And we'll start with letting you guys go ahead and do your opening statements. And I'm going to go left, right, and we will alter who starts first each time, going left to right. So Wes, you're up first for your minute opening statement.
Thank you very much for what you're doing here, and for all you others out in support out here making this happen. Thank you so much. I'm Wes Hendricks. I am the incumbent for Pickens County District 3, and this just finishing up my first term here. And during the course of the night, you hear me talk about a lot of our accomplishments here. And one thing about me, I was born and raised here in Pickens, South Carolina. I stay here because I choose to and love it. Pickens is a great place to live, work, and play. I went all the way through the Pickens County School District Public Schools, graduated Pickens High School in 1984. I played football for Coach Bill Isaacs. I am a true Blue Flame. Went to the University of South Carolina, played for Coach Joe Morrison, and of course I come from a family of educators. I teach special education at Pickens High School, and I have over 29 years of there. I'm a member of the Cattlemen's Association. I'm also a Level 2 graduate of the South Carolina Association of Counties. And some of the things, I have two daughters. My oldest is entering med school in August to be a foot surgeon. My youngest daughter is a mechanical engineer, junior at Citadel, be a senior next year. And thank you very much. I look forward to it tonight, gentlemen.
I'm Tim Robinson. I am from here in Pickens County. Lived in Easley most of my life. I've been in Pickens for about the last 18 years. It's the most beautiful part of the state to live in as far as I'm concerned. I do love it here. And that's part of what got me interested in wanting to run for county council, is I would like to do something positive for the community where I live. And I believe that our government should be small, should not infringe on our constitutional rights, should not infringe on our God-given rights, and should spend our tax dollars wisely. And I think that's something that we could all agree on.
Okay, I'm Alex Seda. I'm bringing a lot to the table. Mainly, I was 17 years as a financial analyst. I think I'll help the county direct limited funds to essential services within a balanced budget. I'm a problem solver. I take in information real well. I define problems. I provide solutions. I explain it in real simple terms. I take stands on public issues, and I'll also stand up for employees publicly who are treated unfairly. We need true communication from the county council, not just promotion, where they only talk about the good things. I will talk about the good things, the bad things, and the challenges as well that we face, and I'll do it with public involvement. I'm a family man. My wife and I have lived here for 20 years now. We've raised our kids here. We're now both our kids are in Pickens High School, Scarlett and Amber. We value our rural small town. We value our traditions, and I will also defend them as well.
First question, Republican Party question, and we'll start with Tim. This is a Republican forum, Republican Party forum, and President Trump is our pick to run as the incumbent to be reelected. The party is supporting him, and the question is, do you support the president for reelection, and will you be voting for him?
Absolutely, I do support President Trump. I'm a very big supporter of him. I know he gets a lot of flack sometimes for things that he says, and I've not heard everything the man has ever said, but I've not heard anything he said that I didn't agree with. I do think sometimes he could word things a little bit different, maybe explain himself a little bit better, but I do agree with everything that I've heard him say. I agree with what he's trying to do for the country, and I really and truly believe that he has this country's best interest at heart. I really do believe that he cares about the people in this country and the country itself, and that's something we've not been able to say about any president for quite some time.
I'll be honest, I voted for Ted Cruz in the primary in 2016, and of course Donald Trump in the general election. And I have to tell you, I've been impressed with Trump. I am going to vote for him again. He's got the best agenda of my lifetime, and he sticks to it like no other president. I'll give you an example on the wall. When the deep state and the Democrats and the Republicans were opposing wall funding, he actually pushed through it. Right now, I think he's got about $10 billion in funding, about 450 miles are going up on the wall. And he just never quit on it. 44 out of 45 presidents would have quit on it, so he's really determined, and I like that. I love, his mouth's got two sides. I love how he describes the media as the enemies of the people. They truly are. But I think sometimes he says things, and the media, I think, twists it and uses it against him. And I think he's got to just be a little bit clearer and sticking to his agenda and maybe less with the name Cole. But I love him. I'm going to vote for him again.
Voted for Mr. Trump, President Trump, ever since he's been on the ballot. He's been my favorite on there. I even have a Trump game that he come out with when he was when I was real young. Still have that game. And one thing I like about him, he's very stern, sticks to his words. And something that's very disheartening is how he gets attacked in the media. And some of his past, some people think that he is not an effective leader because of his past or some of the things he's been involved with. He's on his third marriage, and some people want to judge him by that. Well, he's a Christian, and the good Lord forgives, and I think that wish the media would leave him alone. He's tough as nails, and I'm going to vote for him again in 2020.
I'll let you get this one first. This question is from Amy in Dykesville. About 5 years ago, Clemson and Easley received too much money from the county government and school district in their TIFs, which is a tax incentive financing program, just so people know what we're talking about, where the county lets the city take part of its tax revenues for a specified purpose, is my understanding. When they got caught, a judge ordered them to pay back millions. Do you think it was a good idea for the county council to renew the TIF with Easley and give them even more money?
Basically what a TIF was, it was created where the county council and the school district gave Clemson future property tax revenue. And the agreement was to give them $10 million. I was the chairman of the school board at the time and discovered they were taking $21 million and violating the TIF. I researched it. I sat down with the city of Clemson. I sat down with our attorneys. I actually uncovered that they were taking an extra $11 million. We sued them. I gave an 8-hour deposition against it, and we won. And they had to return that money, or a good amount of it anyway. I think it's insane that the county council and school board have actually renewed the TIF and given them $760,000 of future general fund revenue. These guys were stealing, and they were caught by a judge. You can read the opinion. And so I think when you're sitting there wanting to raise taxes for roads, and you want to raise taxes for fire service, and you're giving $760,000 away to the city of Easley, it just makes absolutely no sense. So no, I didn't support it. When I was on the school board when the school board renewed it. I voted against it.
Well, it was quite sketchy with them getting that much money, but also they need to look at the positive of what did happen. Clemson did do a lot with that money down there. And one thing that was probably bad out of it is also the relationship between Clemson and other folks within the county. That wasn't good. Now, however, on county council, we talked about this with Easley. And I think it was a good idea. And I'm going to tell you why it's a good idea. We looked at what happened in the past. We learned from the past not to make the same mistake that was made earlier with too much money being taken for that. And what we did, we put in clauses of what the money could be spent on, and we also put limitations on the time limit on that. Bottom line is the citizens of Pickens County are benefiting from that, regardless of whether the money comes from the city or the county. It is benefiting the people of Pickens County. So it was not such a bad thing after all with the city of Easley.
My knowledge is not quite as extensive as either Wes or Alex, but based on what I do know about it, I definitely do not agree with renewing it.
Okay, we're back to you starting on this one, Wes. This is from Stan in Easley. In preparing to join the county council, which would have been a couple of years ago now, where have you researched for information, or who have you communicated with for information?
I have done that here, everywhere, and with everyone. And having been on county council for 4 years, I think that I have a lot of good relationships with people within the county. Be able to talk to people. We bridged a lot of communication gaps that were severed by previous councils and poor working relationships, and we have good working relationships with other people. As far as information, we have a very knowledgeable staff. Our administrator is doing an outstanding job. Our finance director is outstanding. We have a wealth of knowledge in the staff that are willing and able to answer questions. We have questions. Also talking to people from other municipalities, cities, the taxpayers and things like that. They're important because that's who we serve, is our taxpayers, and it's important to hear what they have to say and listen to them. And we can also learn from them as well. But there's a lot of people I've talked to, educators, and I've researched knowledge throughout all over.
I've spoken to council members, gone to council meetings, watched some of the council meetings. Also speak with people who live in Pickens County just to kind of see what their concerns are, what they want addressed by the council. And I think that is a very important part of it, is listening to the people of the county and going by what they want, because we're trying to do what's good for the entire county, not just a few people or not just ourselves.
Mostly just county council meetings, the internet, and I talk to people on the inside that necessarily don't want to give me their names, and I'll give you a good example. The county council went to Germany. Wes had a ticket to go. He canceled at the last minute. Bowers, Roy Costner, they were going. Nobody told the public about it. And the way it was uncovered was people like myself on the internet who uncovered it, people from within inside that were calling us and said the public needs to know what these guys are doing. And they did things like they brought their wives, they visited relatives, they visited a jukebox museum, they did a wine tasting event. I mean, this was a complete waste of money, and I understand why they wanted to hide it. They united sometimes in silence. And I spoke against it at the county council meeting once we actually uncovered it. So sometimes you're going to get information from people and you really can't tell who it is. And a lot of people will tend to come to me because I actually have the courage to speak out. And when the vote is 5-1 or something like that, usually I'm going to be on the other side telling the rest of the story.
Tim, I think you get this one first. This is from Yvonne in Easley. What do you think the role of county council is, should be, in operations of each department, police, fire, EMS, etc.?
Work together with the leaders of each of those agencies. The budget is a big part of that, how the money is spent and how much money is spent, but also need to address any concerns that they have being able to provide good services to the people. There's a fine line there between spending too much money and making sure that we have what we need to provide good services for the people. So I think that's very important to work together with the leaders of those agencies to make sure that we do provide good service for the people.
Okay, the council, the administration has a real clear responsibility. Their job is to hire and fire employees and run things on a daily basis. The council pays for everything, and they have to oversee things, and they have to make sure that money's spent right and efficiently on time. They must take a lead role in that oversight, and they must be there to also protect employees when they're not treated fairly by the council. That doesn't happen often enough. We saw that in the Haygood Mills situation, and also recently when the county election people actually walked out. Personally, I don't think the council is really involved enough. They want to just write the check and go on their merry way. They don't realize that they have lots of authority. They can audit. They can investigate. They can ask questions. They can make recommendations, even to the sheriff, who has actually his own purview. You can make recommendations to them. You can investigate. You can question them. So there's not enough of that goes on. Too often the county council will say, all we do is pay the money. We don't have any control over it. That is not true. They have more influence than they realize.
The one important thing is understand what the role is. There's such a law, it's called home rule, and you need to stay in your line of traffic. On county council, we have 2 employees, the county administrator, and we have the clerk of council. Those are our 2 employees. Those are the ones we can hold accountable. However, you need to understand what is elected official and what is not. The elected official answers to the people, being that person is elected. These other folks, they are employees of the county administrator. They have to answer to him. And it's important that we understand what our role is. And one thing I want to point out is that work morale is very important. I know back when a few years ago, I've been teaching school forever, you have people that get out of their lane of traffic that's going to create poor work morale. And it's important that you follow the proper channels of doing what you're supposed to do and staying true to home rule and not disobeying that law. So it's important to do what you're supposed to do and do it in the right direction.
Thank you, Wes. So we are to Alex, starting with this one. This question is from Steve in Easley. When another government body in the recent past was having a hard time with its budget, a citizen told county council, or that whichever branch of government it was, that it's irresponsible to go 10 years without a tax increase. Do you agree?
Well, it really all depends on how much money they have coming in. I mean, we've had a 10-year economic expansion, revenues going up every year. If you cannot live within your budget when your revenue's rising every year, you're just not setting priorities correctly. You're not digging down on the budget and looking close enough at what's going on. I don't think it's unreasonable. I mean, I was on the school board, and we had a deficit one year of $2 to $3 million. Unemployment was 11%. Businesses were closing. I mean, we had a deficit. What were we going to do? Raise taxes on those people? They were down on one knee. We did is we cut $2.75 million. What we did is we cut it in non-classroom areas, in areas that weren't important. We ranked things from most important to least important. And the percentage of money that we spent in the classroom went up from 54% to 60%. So, you got to be able to, and I've got financial skill and I've got economic skill. You got to be able to manage a budget. I mean, no, I don't think it was unreasonable if the county council went 10 years without a tax increase.
Unreasonable at all to do that. And I'm going to give you a prime example of that. During the last 4 years, We haven't had a tax increase on county council. Me and my peers have served on that. A couple of reasons. In 2016, when we won the election, Pickens County was one of only 2 counties that did not belong in an alliance. We joined Upstate Alliance. Bobby Hitt announced, he's the state secretary of commerce. He announced Pickens County is now open for business. He saw how the election went and seen he got some people in there that's going to focus on economic development. Our economic development has helped us alleviate and not have to have any tax increases. When we went on, the Commerce Park was 63% full. Now it's only one spot. Now we're looking at other property for another Commerce Park. We've done that. And also something else in our economic development I want to point out is this. Pickens County is #1 in 2019. We're the #1 county in the state for economic development without an interstate. We're #1. The people ahead of us, they all have interstates, and that's key for economic development. We've done very well with that. Things like that have also helped to keep the thing down. But one thing I want to talk about, going back to the economic downturn, a few years ago, our school district, our school pay was ranked in the 50s out of 82 districts. Now, since 2016, our teacher pay has dropped to in the 20s. So one thing I want to point out is this: just because you cut, you got to take care of your employees. If you don't take care of your employees, they're going to go across the river somewhere else, across the lake to work. So it's important that we take care of our employees.
Tim?
I don't think it's irresponsible not to raise taxes in that amount of time. I think it's irresponsible to raise taxes just because it hasn't been done in a certain amount of time. If your revenue is good and you have plenty of money there and you don't need to, definitely don't. It would be irresponsible to do so just for the sake of doing it.
We'll start with the West is done. This question is from Andy in Pickens. What is your plan to ensure we have enough money going towards fixing county roads? How is your plan sustainable to ensure roads are repaired on a 20-year cycle?
It is on our radar, and that's something we've been discussing as a group, and that's something we're going to have to come together collectively as a group, and that's important that we're able to work together and not alienate one another, such as been passed in Pickens County government and different entities where there's alienation and things like that. But one thing we have done, we talked about, we discussed many different plans. We do not have a solution yet. We have $108 million for county roads. One thing I'd like to ask the people to do is make sure you know the difference between what a county road is and a state road. State roads are beyond our control. County roads is what we focus on. We have a lot of good county roads that are in pretty good shape. However, we do have some that need to be taken care of. The fees that were set were many years ago, and of course, the cost of asphalt and things like that have gone up. The cost of labor has gone up. The $20 road use fee doesn't go quite as far as it used to. But we're working on some hybrid ways of doing that, being a less impact on the taxpayer. I'm a taxpayer too. I do not care to pay any more taxes than I have to. I like to keep my money in my pocket and spend it on my family and things like that. But we are looking at different ways to do that. And you got some people have suggested sales tax. I'm not a fan of that. I'd rather not. So we have to look at road use fees. Going up to $100 is out of the question. There's no way. We can't do that. So we're going to have to look at some different ways of doing that, maybe restructure some fees. But we're going to do the best we can to have the less impact on the taxpayer, which includes me and these other guys.
I believe that we could look at cutting out any wasteful spending and prioritize the spending first. I'm definitely not a fan of adding any more fees or taxes to take care of the roads. I think there's other things that can be done first, and then we could step back, take a look at it, and see what we can do from there after that point.
The county administration, they proposed raising the road fee to $100. They've also proposed a sales tax of 8%, an option of 29 mills for raising millage, to borrow more money to use the fund balance. I agree with Tim here. The first solution is to look at the existing budget and set priorities and try to find some savings there. Second thing, I'm surprised that they don't really examine the department to see how efficiently it's spending money. There's no measure for how much of that money actually makes it to the road. I would create a measure. When the school board, we actually created that measure and used it, which was the percentage of money making it to the classroom, and tell how efficient we were and getting the money to where it counted. The county council the last 10 years has over-collected $17 million. They got a fat cash position. That's probably the first thing I would use if I had to spend money. I like Darryl Gibbs' idea of actually trying to get somebody from Pickens County on the SCDOT board so we can get more of the state money. I don't like raising the sales tax to 8% when Greenville is at 6% and Anderson is at, and Oconee is at 6%. And Wes, I want to correct you on this last point you made. Last year was a property reassessment year. I looked at 68,000 property bills in the county. Most of them were up. And houses between 125,000 and 175,000, 75% of them got a tax increase. And if you look at the fire districts, gosh, since 2016, Pickens has gone up from 75 to 175. 6 Mile went up 16% a year. Liberty up 15% a year. And Wes, you voted for every one of those.
When it's your turn, you can talk all you want to. Stay within the time limits. Well, just to keep it going here, I'll ask another road question. I'll skip this one, and we'll go to another road question, which will give you a chance to respond. This is from John L. Do you have a plan? Well, wait a minute. Started with you last time. We'll start with Tim this time, but you still get a chance to answer. So Tim, starts with you. Do you have a plan to get our roads paved without raising taxes? Do you have any new ideas as how to accomplish this?
I'll go back
to zero. Just so people at home will understand, we didn't make any allowances to make this a debate where you can answer each other directly. This is more like an interview where you're talking to the people at home and answering questions. That's the reason. I didn't mean to cut you off or be rude to you, Wes. We'll stay within the rules, though.
Just as long as somebody's truthful.
You have your chance to speak on the next time around. Okay, Tim. To get roads paved without raising taxes in Pickens County, and do you have any new ideas on how to accomplish this?
I'll go back to what I stated earlier. I think the first thing that we need to do is cut out all wasteful spending. And I've heard some people say, well, you know, we haven't wasted that much. Well, how much is not that much? And another thing that I've heard several times is, well, cutting that out is not enough to pay for the roads, but it's a start. And I think that that's what we should do first. Cut out all wasteful spending, prioritize our spending, and then step back, look at it, and see what we can do from there.
I answered this. I gave you the 3 points, which was one is I'd look at the initial budget. I would look at the initial budget and see if I could find some savings, and then I would try to create an efficiency member just to make sure that their efficiency number to make sure they're efficient, and then I would look at the savings that the county council's got. I've got, like I said, $17 million in savings. I mean, I've looked at the votes of the county council. I've studied them. The last 3 years has been 545 action items, which are items that don't include adjournment or approving minutes and like that. 541 of them passed. Wes, you voted for all of them but 7. I mean, this is a 99% rubber stamp council. 541 divided by 545 is over 99%. The administration puts these plans in front of them. You got a choice to either vote for it, vote against it, or amend it. And all of it, from all of them, including Wes, they're voting for these things. I mean, the minutes don't lie. Those come right from the minutes. There's too much groupthink, I think, that goes on once in a while. I will bring a different point of view to the table, one that's citizens-based and based on what employees are telling me.
One thing I'd like to say is, on county council, you got to have 4 votes to pass something. Prime example is when my opponent sitting over there to my far left, your right, was on the school board. His alienation, antagonizing people, and making enemies for 12 years, that 12-year train wreck we had in the school district, Pickens County, because of him. We about lost our accreditation. You will not accomplish anything on county council by fighting with others, creating animosity, and making enemies. You got to work together to get these things done. It's going to take 6 people working together on county council to get something done. A lot of those yes votes is because we were working together to accomplish a lot. No one can argue with the success we've had in the last 4 years on county council. Economic development has gone out the roof in the right direction. We supported Tri-County Tech Student Success Center without a tax raise. We built a $28 million jail without a tax raise. We did that. If we'd have blown our money like somebody suggested over there, paying cash for it, we couldn't have done it because we don't have enough in reserves to allow for a rainy day. With COVID-19 coming on, proper financial management has helped us out. We're going to be in good shape. Some counties are having to sell land and capital assets to pay for, make their budget meet for 2021. We're in great shape with that. So our county council, we are very efficient in trying to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. Are we perfect? No, but we do a pretty good job, and we take care of our citizens.
Thank you. I proposed this question to the last panel, the guys that are running in the Dacresville seat, so I'm going to propose it to you too. This is from me, or from the party. There's been a proposal to possibly go to the state infrastructure bank and put forth an idea, or propose the idea of the state infrastructure bank doing the necessary work on 183, which is going to be a major project to get 183 redone to look something like 153. And the proposal would call for the county to put $14 million into the deal. It'd be a lot more expensive than that, but it would be county money on a state project to get 183 fixed. So Alex, it starts with you on this one. Would you be in favor of putting $14 million of county money behind a state project to get 183 done?
Let's just talk about generally using county money for state projects. I mean, you've got GPATs. That is basically federal and state money. They do big transportation projects like Exit 51 on I-85. You got the CTC committee, County Transportation Committee. They're 100% state funded, and sometimes they want some county money too. They get 2.7 cents on every dollar for the gasoline tax. It's going to go up to 4 cents by 2021. The SCDOT has its own money that it actually does maintenance once in the county, has a $20 roads user fee. You know, I believe that if we're going to control sprawl, so the whole county doesn't look like 123, I think we need to control where infrastructure goes. The sprawl will follow the roads, the sewer, and it will follow the water lines. Myself, I'd run that stuff all along 123 and beef that up. That's where I would put my infrastructure and spend my money. Because you get a nice business corridor between Clemson, Easley, and then Greenville. And then you would also protect the northern part of the county because the sprawl would be going east to west along that road. You'd protect the northern part of the county with its wildlife and its natural reserve, which we want to protect. If you widen 183 and you start pushing development up into 183, up north in the northern part of the county, the whole county is going to look like 123. I don't think people want that, surely not in the Pickens area.
One thing I think we need to look at is the value of a human life. 183 is one of the most dangerous roads in the state of South Carolina. There are people perish on that road quite regularly, and quite a few people travel on that road across the Saluda River into Greenville to go to work. Spending $14.3 million of Pickens County taxpayer money on that, it's kind of a tough pill to swallow. We know we got representation with Representative Neil Collins out of Easley. He's working with GPATs. Got Chairman Roy Costner. He's working on the GPATs. We got a presence with that. But I think it's something we need to look at as far as what would be a good compromise as far as doing something for Highway 183. I know Mr. Wilson talked earlier about his wife being in a wreck over there. He knows exactly what I'm talking about, the severity of that road. We're going to have to do something. We've got to take care of our citizens of Pickens County. Not every person has a dollar value. No value is going to be worth a human being's life. Human lives are more important than an almighty dollar. So we got to look at that. But we need to do it reasonably, and we need to come up with a good compromise, work together, and see what we can do. Hopefully, I'm not exactly a fan of having to spend $14.3 million of that. We got $31 million in the general fund. At least 17, you got to keep about 10, 11 million in reserves for a rainy day or for cover costs because of when taxes come in. And then I don't want to break our $20 road use fee on that either. We got to take care of our county roads. So as far as the county paying for state responsibilities, no.
I think our main responsibility is the county roads, like Wes just said. I am not in favor at all of spending that money on a state project.
Wes, this one comes to you kind of appropriate, the question. I'm just reading them as they come in. This is from Elizabeth in 6 Mile. The county council prides itself on being united all the time. Is that always a good thing? And will you think independently if elected?
I am elected, and I do think independently. However, I am a team player. And she would were to go to some of our executive sessions, which she can't. She would see that we're far from being all lovey-dovey in our executive session meetings and in our conversations. Sometimes we get very heated. We don't always agree, but we're able to conduct ourselves as adults and have good adult conversations and be able to come to conclusions and compromise and be able to work things out and come up with a solution that is best for our citizens. We're far from a rubber stamp county council. You look at the success we have our differences. We try to hash them out, present ourselves professionally before we go on there. We go to county council up on the stage to do our meetings. It's not a dog and pony show. It's not a one-up, show up this person, show up that person. It's about treating people with respect and doing business of the county. So no, we're not always in agreement on everything, but we try to present ourselves professionally, respect one another as grown adults in our conversations, the way we treat people in that situation. But no, we're far from being all in one accord. But I will say this, this county council we're on right now, we've been very successful in bridging gaps with the other municipalities and working together. It was terrible before 2017, before we were sworn in. So we've done a great job of bridging gaps with other municipalities and getting things done and working with them and the state delegation as well.
I am an independent thinker, but I also work well with others. And I think sitting down, having conversations about the issues that we have with each other can inspire good ideas in each of us. I may not think of something until I sit down and have a conversation with someone, and something they say may spark an idea with me. So, even though I can be an independent thinker, I can also work with others and try to come to a good solution for our problems.
Well, I gave you the votes. 545 votes, 541 passed. I mean, they'll go meetings, months and months without anyone even voting negative. And if they're having these disagreements in the back room, that's terrible. These are open government bodies. They should have these disagreements in public. By law, they're supposed to be in public, not in the back room. And that's what it's all about. It's about presenting a united front and just hiding things from the public. Democracy is about debate. And if people debate and bring things up, and there's disagreement, and there's another point of view, not just the point of view of the administration or the chairman, then you're going to actually get some more ideas. I mean, nobody, I can't say nobody, but I research things, I actually gather the data, I define the problem, I come up with a solution. I have alternatives. Oftentimes you go to these county council meetings, 99 out of 100 meetings, there's one point of view. It's coming from the administration and the chairman, and the right hands just go up. And that's what Pickens United is about. And it's gone way too far. I understand that people need to get along and everything, but debate is healthy. 2 points of view are healthy. And we just simply don't see it with this county council. It's a rubber stamp council.
Okay, Tim, we will go to you for this one. To start this one, it's from Dean in Easley. Haygood Mill Historic Site is the crown jewel of our mountain heritage and culture in Pickens County. I was disappointed in the direction the county council tried to take Haygood Mill last year. What can you bring to the council to develop the mill site into an important heritage tourism site?
I've not been able to really look into this in depth, and at this point in time, I'm not sure that I can really offer much in a good answer for that. I would have to do some more research on it, and at a later time, I could give a better answer to that question.
First of all, support the you want to wait? You ready? Support the Haygood Mill board, support the volunteers, and support the director. In May of 2019, the county administration fired the director, Billy Crawford. They said it was for cause. The Haygood Mill board said he was doing a great job. What happened was there was a fight over the direction of the mill, and Crawford got stuck in the middle. The volunteers and the community who resurrected the mill built it up to the point where they're actually selling the mountain heritage, the community and family up there. The administration and the council actually sided against them, and they wanted to grow revenue and Dollywoodize the mill. I mean, Councilman Hendricks, I was at the meeting. I mean, you were with the council and against the people there. And when the volunteers showed up at the council meeting, I mean, and they objected to what was going on, you schooled them. You read them Bible verses. I mean, you told them they need to be Christian-like, and you lectured them on volunteerism, and they groaned and booed you. I mean, your promise is to actually support the Pickens volunteers and support the Pickens people. You just didn't do it there. That's what I would do. I got up at that same meeting. I supported the director. I actually supported the volunteers. I supported the mountain heritage. I supported the community and the family values they got going up there at the Haygood Mill.
Who? That's Wes Sanders. All right, first of all, County Council has never, ever, ever had the vision of Dollywoodizing Haygood Mill. Just because something comes out of his mouth, folks, doesn't mean it's true. You know that through that 12-year train wreck he was on the school board. So be careful. Not everything that somebody says or writes or puts on Facebook is true. So be careful what source you believe on that. Administration handles personnel. County Council does not. They felt like there was a reason to make a move that they did. And that is not, the personnel issues are not for County Council. Yes, somebody says you may want to investigate. No, we may look into it, but we're not personnel directors. We have a personnel director for that. Our lane is setting budgets and making policy as County Council members. Now, I will say this. I think it was done far from perfect what happened up there. But looking at the cooperation of how things went, we got together. We put our differences aside. We got together. We developed. We let them, the board, take over. We signed it over to them, and to come out with a conclusion, or a solution rather, that Haygood Mill got their autonomy, and County Council we still continue to fund. I had a Zoom meeting today with Betty McDaniel, Sam on the board, as well as Ken and our finance director to discuss budget meeting, and we're going to have, I got them on the agenda for Monday for more funding.
And this is where the Ken came from, Wes. The next question is from Ken. I was reading his question, and it starts with Alex this time. But I apologize for that. Senior moment. Alex, this is from Ken in Pickens. Given the economy is now the worst recession in decades, how will things change for the county government budget, and what makes you best qualified to deal with that?
Calling this the Great Shutdown versus the Great Recession of 2008. This right now we're probably looking at 20% unemployment. There's not going to be any extra money. It's going to be about finance and economics and managing what you have. The administrator is a lawyer. He's a legal expert. The chairman is a marketing person. He's a marketing expert. The second in charge is a medical expert. I was a 17-year financial analyst. I have 30 years in economics, so I can dig into the numbers. I can direct the funds to essential services and do it without tax hikes. For 2 years when I was here, I managed to easily progress in Pickens Sentinel. I inherited a loss of annual loss of about $110,000. Within 2 years, it was a $212,000 profit. Too often, like I said, the council will just write a check and they'll just step back. They need to come forward. They need to get a little bit more involved in budgeting. They need to make sure that the money is spent right. They need to make sure it's spent on time and spent on essential services. A good example is the recycle centers. The county council voted to close them on Wednesday. People are complaining that they're waiting online now because of this. They should spend money on essential services instead of trips to Germany or rebranding the county. We got a great brand in Pickens. It's the Blue Flame Torch. That's fine. Don't waste $100,000 on that kind of stuff. Reopen the recycle centers. Put the money into essential services. And if I'm elected, I'll do that.
I'd like to address, first of all, this guy over here using the blue flame as a political pawn. You never played there, you never went there, leave it out of discussion. Don't disgrace my blue flame. I played there, I graduated there. Don't disgrace that blue flame by using it to try to get you political gain. Don't do that. As far as us and our budget, we've been good stewards through the years. We're in good shape right now with $31 million general fund right now. We prepared for a rainy day. A rainy day is here. One thing our administrator has done, I and Councilman Bowers have asked our administrator to come up with some economic incentives for local businesses. You know, one of the things, for example, that was suggested doing is increasing for these people wanting to bid, within local people to bid, increase their variance from 3% to 5%, give them a better chance to get more stuff coming in. As far as the budget, we have a great finance guy, Ralph Guarino. He's won award after award after award, and that is his lane of traffic. What the administration does and what's happened so far recently, they brought the rough draft. They wrote the rough draft and brought it to us. We discussed it. We have a 3-hour meeting as a group discussing that budget. Also, we had our time looking at it beforehand. And basically, it's writing a paper in school. You get the rough draft, you look at it, you make revisions, you discuss it, you make more revisions, discuss it, and then eventually you do the final draft. I'm very confident this year we are going to pass a budget without a tax increase. We're taking care of our citizens. We're able to take care of those that are in hard times right now.
Need to go through the budget, cut out anything that's not necessary, take care of the necessities, and we need to set up a priority list of those necessities and cut out anything that can be cut out.
Possibly we'll start with you this time. This is from Zach in Easley. Do you feel the county's effort on economic development has been successful the past 10 years?
10 years, I would say no. In the past 4 years, I would say heck yes. If you look at what has happened since the 2016 election, I ran, along with a few others, ran on joining Upstate Alliance. The residents of Pickens County wanted, a majority of them wanted to be a part of that. You have to be involved with the Upstate Alliance for us here in Pickens in order to get attention from the State Commerce Department. They overlook you if you're not doing that. Our guy, Ray Farley, has done an outstanding job. He's taking trips overseas to bring businesses here. We diversified our companies here in Pickens County. We have companies from Germany. The Germany trip that he spoke of over there, saying I canceled out last minute. No, I had an opportunity to go. I chose not to go. But we had 2 council members go, and there were a lot of benefits for that. They went over there to try to get some ideas to help our museum here in Pickens, South Carolina. That trip cost $6,000. Plane tickets were $400 each. Spouses and people like that, they pay for it on their own. So there wasn't a family trip or anything like that. But as far as economic development, our Commerce Park went from 63% occupancy to only 1 spot left. Bobby Hitt, again, as I said earlier, State Secretary of Commerce Director, said that Pickens County is open for business. We went leaps and bounds, and now that people are willing to communicate with us because we work with people, we have those open communication lines, and that's part of the game of economic development and drawing in future businesses.
I would say it's been partially successful. There's definitely room for improvement.
I don't know where these numbers are coming from. From 2008 till last year, manufacturing employment in Pickens County fell from 6,600 to 5,300. The number of manufacturing companies has fallen from 139 to 127. When they tout all these announcements, they're not telling you about Short Industries closing and 250 jobs, Ellison Plant closing 175 jobs, OWT losing 325 jobs. They don't tell you that part. Let me get back to your point about the traditions. Hey, just because you're born here doesn't give you a monopoly on our town. I'll give you an example. The Pickens wall at Bruce Field, Wesher gave him a $57,000 check to renovate it. The city planned to paint the wall gray. They did paint it gray. The news got out it was going to be gray. Everybody was upset. You didn't say a word about it publicly. Not a word. And I would have told them, heck, we paid for it. We wanted blue and white. That's the tradition. If we don't have people in leadership positions that open their mouth and speak up and stand up for our traditions, we are going to lose our traditions. And that's a perfect example. We're going to drive by that wall in 20 years, and we're going to see how this county's changed because of the sprawl from Greenville. And we're going to look at the traffic and this and that, and we're going to look at that wall and say, geez, we couldn't even keep the wall traditional blue and white.
Next question. Tim, you get to go first this time. This is from Peggy in Liberty. When the county built the new jail, it chose not to move the chapel from the old jail to the new jail. Do you think this was a good idea? Why or why not?
I think it was a good idea because just simply on the cost of it. I mean, it was just outrageous what it would cost to move it. So I definitely think it was a good idea to leave it where it is.
I researched this at the time. I thought they should have moved the chapel. And the council voted against moving the chapel. Pastors came up and said, we feel the chapel's important in what we do. The building is important. That's why we have church buildings all over the county. County council voted not to move it. The notion that it was going to cost $250,000 to move it was completely bogus. I called the company that did most of the moving in this county for decades. I asked him what it would cost. He said it would have been less than $50,000. Nobody asked for a written estimate of what it would cost. Somebody just threw it out in the meeting, and all these councilmen just agreed with it. The bottom line is this country is being overrun with anti-religious zealots that are trying to take away our traditions. Again, if we don't stand up for them in school board prayer like I did, there's a very good reason we pray in Jesus' name at the school board meeting. It's me and Henry and people like, even Philip Bowers stood with us on that one. We got to stick things like this chapel. I would have voted for it. I would have made the ACLU come in and move it, or we could have. I would have definitely stuck for it, and I would have moved it. And I think it was a shame that, again, the ACLU won on this without even having to fire a shot. Our own people just threw in the towel on it.
I totally disagree with my opponent over there, and I will give you a scenario of this. No, we shouldn't have moved it. Are we Christian-based? County Council, yes, we are. He does not decide my salvation. Jesus Christ does. So him to say that we forget about religion is bogus. One thing I like to say is this. The night that we discussed that, we didn't have 500 preachers coming up. We talked to some preachers elsewhere. The night that he discussed in favor of that, we had an inmate break out of the stockade, break into a woman's house. Thankfully, the woman had a gun on her and blasted him, killed the guy for breaking in her house. A convicted convict broke out of that same facility where that chapel is. This guy right here is expecting us to put our law officers and our detention officers at risk and jeopardize their safety by taking them out of that $28 million jail, taking these inmates out, moving them outside, occupying staff, and taking them away from their other responsibilities. That jail was designed with places for religion, places for people to have preaching, whatever their religion is. The place is designed. Sheriff Clark allows for that. Preachers are allowed to go in that prison and preach the gospel, preach the good Lord's word to those people. So we made the right decision. We also saved $250 million, or $250,000 really. But tell you this, we also looked out for the safety of our employees of our county and our citizens.
Tim? Oh, you start? Forgive me. So, for whatever reason, if you, Alex, the next one goes to you then. This is from Wanda in Easley. Given the county budget, do you feel the new jail was the correct decision?
Yeah, sure. The jail was overdue. No doubt. There were problems with how it was built. The initial estimates was $21 million. It ended up having some cost overruns, and it was $29 million. The old council actually saved $17 million in cash to put down on the jail. And they were going to borrow another $8 million, and that was over 10 years. The new council totally scrapped that plan. They borrowed the entire amount of money. They did it over 20 years, so the debt was, they quadrupled the county debt. They lengthened it by another 10 years on top of that. I mean, that was pretty bad, I thought. And then there were problems with staffing the jail. The jail was finished in May. It didn't get open until November because they didn't staff the jail. They didn't realize that. I mean, they didn't realize that the jail they needed more people. They didn't have enough people to staff the jail. So it was like 6 or 7 months until they actually opened it. You know, that was part of probably personnel problem, maybe in the sheriff's department, but the county council has oversight. They have to be asking the right questions to see what's going on. Is the jail on schedule? The way they read about it was in the newspaper, that it wasn't going to be opened. So, no, I think it was a good idea. It was just poorly managed, and I just thank God we don't have projects of that size going on a regular basis under this county council.
The jail was well overdue. It should have been built a long time ago. It would have been a lot cheaper, but through council not being able to work together and having that vision and focus in the previous councils, it was not done earlier. But we came together, came up with a solution, and we did the right decision financing the way we did. If you'd put $17 million on there, that would have cut us down where we barely had enough to cover our operational costs. If we'd have done that, and then with this COVID-19 thing, we would be in a bind. We would be hurting. We made the right decision to finance it the way we did. The sheriff, we gave him what he wanted when it come time to have the funds to staff detention officers. What had happened was surrounding counties increased their pay increases for the detention officers. And you can't blame the people. They went to other counties to work to make more money. We can't expect them to stay home, not getting paid well enough. They go across the county line and make more money. So the sheriff come back and talk to us, and we come up with a solution. The sheriff's planned out a solution for this, and we discussed it and come up with a good idea, good pay to attract and staff those detention officers. It was the market conditions that affected that. But the county council did their part, and we worked cooperatively with our elected sheriff to get that taken care of.
I don't think it was necessary. I think there was other things that could have been done, some changes that could have been made. Of course, none of that really matters now because, like it or not, we've got the new jail.
So you get the honor of the last question. To start on the last question, anyway, to go first. This is from Margaret in Clemson. I am the founder of Clemson Paw Partners. Last week, our rescue, along with another rescue, went with animal control to remove 31 dogs from a property in Pickens. The owner got a citation. None of the dogs had ever been vaccinated as required by state law and local county ordinance. The majority have parvo, and both rescues have endured huge financial costs. What would you do to strengthen local ordinances dealing with animals not being vaccinated?
One thing that we have done is we've got animal control officers under the direction of the sheriff's office. They have more power to enforce the laws that we have. It is very difficult to enforce that. It can be done, but it's very difficult to get every citizen to have their animals shot, give them with the shots, vaccinations, and things like that, and proper medicine. It's also very difficult when you got some of these people, a few bad people that abuse animals. I'm an animal lover, love animals. I got a miniature horse and a cat, don't have a dog. I haven't had a heart to get one since my last one died. It broke my heart. But one thing I want to say about Margaret, I know who that person is. She's doing an outstanding job. Clemson Paw Partners, she's doing it the right way. And we're working with a partnership with her as far as facility for that. And hopefully in time she'll be able to help the county get cheaper, where they can get cheaper spay and neuter program going. But we need to look at the laws we have on the books, try to do a better job in enforcing those, and take it from there. We do not need to create too many laws and ordinances without enforcing the ones we've got. But again, Margaret, commend you on the effort you're doing and your love of animals. You're being very successful, and you're doing it the right way.
We definitely don't need to create any new laws in regards to this or anything else. Enforce what we already have. There's no need to come up with anything new.
That's section 4.7 of the county ordinance. That law says, inhumane treatment of animals, the judge can throw them in jail for 30 days or give them a $500 fine for violation. The judges just choose not to do that. The problem with the judges, you see that all across the country. I've given money to the Humane Society. I've given money to Margaret's group. I've been to various dinners. Heck, we adopted 3 or 4 dogs from the shelter. I like the spay and neuter program that the county's doing. I think that's a real positive thing. I think we need a little bit more inviting adoption center there. I think the infighting between the nonprofits that we have with the Humane Society and the county shelter, I think needs to be reconciled. They need to both get on the same page. They're both working real hard. The county council, including West, voted to defund the Humane Society for $70,000 in 2017. I just want to talk about the cash positions, switching subjects. The county government has a $46 million budget. The recommendation is 15 to 20% cash position, which is about $8 million. They have a $25 million position, cash position. They've over-collected, and that money should be returned to the taxpayers or used in some really important thing like I recommended, like roads. The notion that they need a 53% cash position goes against every rating agency in the country. I mean, Standard & Poor's recommends 15 to 20%. Thank you.
So, now we come to closing statements. And Tim, you have a minute.
To something I said earlier, I believe that we should have a small government, should not waste tax dollars. We should defend our constitutional rights, our God-given rights. We've got to work together. If we're constantly fighting with each other, that's not going to work. I know that we shouldn't, compromise, means different things to different people. We've got to find some common ground, but that doesn't mean that we compromise on our principles and our beliefs. And like I said, I believe that our government should be small, our spending should be wisely, and just defend our constitutional and God-given rights. And listen to the people that elect us. That is something that I think a lot of times does not happen. Once someone gets elected, they do their own thing, they listen to maybe a small group of people, and they forget about those who put them in office. And that is very important. We need to listen to the people.
I'm running for county council because I really love this county. I love Pickens, and I love the people that are here. But I'm really concerned about some things that happened. One we didn't talk about tonight was how the elections department just walked out and protest because they were treated unfairly. They felt they didn't get a fair hearing. Nobody, one councilman talked to them, but they didn't get a fair hearing. I thought that was unfair. I see how meth and opioids are eating up our county, and we got to do more about that. We didn't talk about that tonight. I look forward to working with law enforcement, behavioral health services, and the school district on trying to get some education programs there. I'm all for attracting new business, but I don't want to make existing business pay all the cost. This idea that they wanted to raise the sales tax to 8% when Greenville and Oconee are at 6% is more burdens on existing business, which create most of the jobs in this county. I'm a problem solver. I'm an independent thinker who's going to fight for individual citizens and employees. And again, I'm going to bring finance and economics to the table. We're going to have some tough times ahead the next few months and probably the next year or so, and I think I can help the council there. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for participating in this thing to do. And people out there listening, please get out and vote June 9th. Tim, good job. Alex, I want to commend you on some of the stuff you've done. My opponent over there, he's good at research. He went to the Pickens County Family Courts at the courthouse and looked up my divorce papers, copied them off, and he smelled them out. Shut your mouth, I'm talking. All right, so he's done that. All right, but one thing he forgot to do, and I'm a school teacher, maybe I need to teach him how to address an envelope, he failed to do that. People all over Pickens County have gotten copies of my divorce papers, and he's the one that went up there and copied them. One thing I would like to say is this. You did go it, I have evidence. All right, one thing I'd like to say is this. I want you to base this election and vote for me, Wes Hendricks, on the accomplishments we've had in the last 4 years. Do not go through and put Pickens County through the 12-year train wreck that we experienced with that fellow over there. The best he's got to offer after 12 years of school board is trashing me and attacking me personally. If that's the case, he would not be voting for Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump has some past forgiveness as well. One thing I like to say is this: we do not need Nancy Pelosi behavior in Pickens County. We do not need that. You need to vote for me. I'm a good team player. I'm from here. I love Pickens County. I chose to stay here because it's a great place to live, work, and play. And one other thing is this: I asked, what is this guy known for? What do you think of? Losing accreditation, Holly Springs closing, A.R. Lewis closing. He could not get one person to vote for him on out of 4 people. He could not do that.
I'm sorry. Whatever complaints I had about you, I said you gave me plenty of time to respond.
I went over, brother. Deal with it.
Well, me personally, well, I ain't gonna say anything. I can't. I thank you all for coming, and I thank you all for your public service. I will say this: civility is something we need more of, not less of. So I think that would be a lesson to take away. We need more civility. And if you're listening tonight, if you're still listening, I'd like to make you aware that we will be doing 2 more of these town halls. The next 2 will be on May the 14th at 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock, just like we did the 2 tonight. Those will be for the State House District 5 seat and for the State House District 3 seat. We would love to have you watch again and tune in again. And one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of this, if there's any people involved with nonprofits listening or watching tonight, we, the Pickens County Republican Party, would be more than happy to help you promote your organization, help you with a video, put your stuff up on our social medias. We'd be more than glad to help you out, especially those of you who help children and families. Please, if we can help you, get in touch with us. And with that, we'll call it a night. Thank you for participating.